So we were talking about stacks. Yes. So it's a failure structure that is first in, last out, and first value to be added will be removed at the end, and last value to be added, last value added would be removed at first. Okay, so yeah. अब इसमें कुछ स्टेप्स हैं क्योंकि आप लोगों ने पेपर 2 में आपको इसका pseudocode पार्ट नहीं आएगा. So if you look at the syllabus, they will at max ask you to either fill in the blanks or they will ask you to just explain the logic in English. So here they go. Candidates will not be required to write pseudocode for these structures, but they should be able to add, edit, and delete data from these structures. Or they will give you a stack and they will ask you कि आपने जो है इसको वो करना है, फुल करना है. आपने क्यू लिखी होगी तो उसमें कहा होगा कि इस वैल्यू से इस क्यू में से 3 values removed होते, 3 values add करें, so what would be the new output, etc. So what does stacks do? So ये मैंने आपको बता दिया. Okay, अब stacks बनते कैसे हैं? All of these ADTs would be implemented via queues. Okay, so using arrays. So आपके पास जो भी stacks हैं, queues हैं, linked हैं, even in your A2, they will be implemented using arrays. So how do we implement a stack? Creating a stack. So ये steps आपको जो है याद होने चाहिए. By the way, this is exactly taken from the marking scheme, so you can write it as it is. So we have to declare one array of type string or whatever the data type is, and if I show you. Okay, so then the number of elements in that array correspond to the size of that required stack. ठीक है, जो भी आपका size required होगा stack का, let's say it should be 10 elements, 5 elements, तो आपके array का भी वही size होगा. Then you will need a stack pointer that would be for the top pointer. इसको भी हम बात करते हैं. Then you would need to use that stack pointer as an index to the array, which would be basically the stack. And then you have the pointers and variables initialized to empty stack, and then you will store item in each element of the stack, and then you will pop item from each element of the stack. Okay, what does this all mean? इसको हम directly जो visualize करते हैं. So let's talk about stacks. Okay, they will be implemented using 1D arrays, और basically 1D arrays आप लोग अभी तक जो है वो horizontally इस तरह से visualize करके आए. Now we'll just do them vertically, and it's still the same thing. कि उसको हम जो है horizontally जो है वो करेंगे. Visualize करेंगे. So let's change the color to. Okay, here we go. So I'm going to put in some values here. Let's say I have some random values. I have mobile, laptop, shades, and football maybe, and maybe keys. Okay, so first of all, I put in mobile. Okay, now there would be what we call a top pointer. So ये जो नाम है इसका, it can change. It can be anything. Stack pointer could be top pointer, it could be top. तो भी उसने आपको क्वेश्चन में कहा होगा, but usually इसकी कन्वेंशन जो हम top keys के नाम यूज करते हैं. Okay, so my stack has 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 values. So इनको अगर हम नंबर करने, index 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Okay, so top can either start from 0 or top can start from -1. Again, it entirely depends on the logic जो भी इसने आपको क्वेश्चन में दिया या आपने खुद से डिसाइड किया है. अगर तो टॉप 0 से पॉइंट कर रहे हैं तो आपने पहले वैल्यू सेव करनी होगी स्टैक में, एंड देन यू विल इंक्रीमेंट द टॉप बाय 1. Similarly, if the top is already pointing to -1, तो पहले आप टॉप को +1 करोगे, so it points to the next available space, and then you will put the value there. So however you implement it, उस हिसाब से आपने इसको चैनल लॉजिक को चेंज करना है. So I'm going to go with the -1 approach for now. Top is initially pointing to -1. Okay, I am starting. I'm going to insert the value mobile. So first the value of top becomes 0. First I make it 0. It becomes 0. So इसको हम ये top becomes 0 now, and then I will save the value of mobile in here. Okay, then now top is pointing to index 0. So let's say I want to remove this. So if I want to remove it, I'll just get rid of the value at the index 0, and then I'll decrement the top by 1, and then it points to -1 like this. ठीक है, सो ये बेसिकली इस तरह से अप एंड डाउन मूव ये पॉप और पुश करेंगे इसमें वैल्यूज. ओके, ब्रिंगिंग इट बैक. सो मोबाइल के बाद देन आई हैव लैपटॉप. सो again, in order to do this, first we will increment the top by 1, and then I'll put in the value. Then I'll increment the value by 1, and then I'll put in the value. Then okay, I'll stop here, and then now I want to pop the value. So since top is pointing at 3, so जो भी थर्ड पे वैल्यू होगी आपने इसको सेव करके रिटर्न कर देना है. So now I'm going to get rid of it. So इसके there are multiple ways. एक तो ये कि आप इसकी वैल्यू को ओवरराइट कर दो. You don't actually change it right now, or you can just change it to empty string. Usually we just keep the value as this, and then we decrement the top by 1. Then again, I'm going to pop this value, delete this value, and then decrement the top by 1. Again, decrement the top by 1, and again decrement the top by 1. So since top is now pointing to -1 again, this means that the stack is empty. Similarly, if I go back, अगर हम इसमें values जो है वो रखते जाएं, and then we have keys, and top points to 4 now, and then I have, let's say, a lamp, and then top points to 5 now. Now this means that the stack is full. So अगर आपका top आपके stack या array के size पे point करे, that means that the stack is full. और अगर आपका top -1 पे point करे, just like in this implementation, so that means that the stack is empty. ठीक है. अगर if we go with the other approach where we start from the top at 0, तो उसमें आप क्या करोगे, पहले आप उसमें value save करोगे, then +1 करोगे. So eventually there would come a point, यहाँ पे जब आप lamp save करोगे और फिर जब top को update करोगे, तो your top would be pointing at index 6. Then that would mean कि आपका stack तब full हुआ, not at 5. Again, it entirely depends on the logic that you use. So ये यहाँ पे हमने steps देखे हुए हैं. So we have to use a 1D array. The number of elements would correspond to the list of size required. Then we would need to declare an integer for the stack pointer, or you can call it the top pointer. Then we would need to also create, we will use the stack pointer as the index to the array, just like I'm doing here. We are constantly using it to keep a track of the elements throughout our 1D array. And then the pointers and variables would be initialized to indicate empty stack. So in my case, it could again either be -1 or it could be 0, depending on the logic. And then there would be a push function and a pop function. Okay, so let's look at the pop and push functions now. Again, this is not part of your P2, but we still have to do this because your P3 में test होगा आपका in any case. So how do we stack a stack? आपने एक 1D array create कर दी, आपके पास एक top pointer आ गया. अच्छा, जो stack खोला ये आपको करने की बेशक जरूरत नहीं है. You don't need to make a variable, or you can create just a size variable. That would be case में कितने जो है values आ सकते हैं. So my case में this would be 10, or you can call it size, stack full, stack size, whatever. Okay, there would be two functions in stack. There would be push and pop. पुश में क्या होगा, आपकी जो भी वैल्यू आप उसको पैरामीटर में भेजोगे, आप पहले चेक करोगे कि अगर तो आपका स्टैक फुल नहीं है, तो यू विल सेव दैट वैल्यू एंड देन यू विल इंक्रीमेंट द पॉइंटर टू 1. अब अभी देखो यहाँ पे हमने टॉप पॉइंटर को -1 पे सेट किया है. सो बेसिकली आवर टॉप वुड बी इनिशियली pointing here. So whatever, whenever we'll have to save a value, we'll first do increment by 1, and then we'll save the value, right? So next time I want to put in laptop, so first I'll increment the top by 1, and then I put in the value. Again, increment the top by 1, and then put in the value. इसमें जो हमारा push function होगा, उसके लिए what we need to do is we need to send in a parameter of the item, and we first check if the top pointer is actually less than the stack full. Let's call it size to keep it, easy. Instead of stack full, I'll change it to size, size, size. Yeah. ठीक. So if the top pointer is less than size, which simply means कि अभी तक आपने अपने जो भी stack है उसको आपने exhaust नहीं किया, अभी उसमें values है like this. So it's less than 4 right now. So then what you'll do is you'll increment the top by 1. So first you increment the top, and then we put in the new value into the current pointer of our stack. Again, ये आपकी 1D array simply. So what I'm saying is कि top would be incremented by 1 like this, and then I'm going to save the value जो भी आपने value save करनी है, then that goes in here. Otherwise, if the stack is full, तो आपने stack is full का error output कर देना, and that's pretty much it. We need to indent this. Okay. Now, if we have to pop an item from the stack, okay, like I said, कि जब भी deletion या popping की बात होगी ना, तो we never actually change the original value. So let's say you want to get rid of football. We are not going to like literally delete it. We'll keep it as it is. We'll just change the value of top by 1, and we will return this value in the main program. Okay, if it remains here, then why it uh, if it remains here, then wouldn't it actually affect the next values? But that is not the case, because next time agar aapne koi value input kiya, let's say you have coffee, so when you do top +1 and you place coffee here, so coffee will in any case override the previously written value. ठीक है ना? So इस वजह से अगर आप ना भी explicitly delete करो तो it's fine, because eventually it will get deleted or overridden. So when we talk about the pop function, it will actually always return a value. वो उन्होंने आप क्वेश्चन में भी कहा होगा कि आपने इसमें से वैल्यू जो वो रिटर्न करनी है. So in this, first you check if the top point is set to -1. Okay, if it is set to -1, then stack is empty. Again, our assumption is that we are starting from -1. If it is from 0, then the starting index would be 0 for it to be empty. Okay, then otherwise what you're going to do is whatever the values at the top point of the stack, you will save that value, and then you're going to decrement the top by 1. Again, same logic. So I want to get rid of this value. I will save it in a variable. Let's save it in a temp variable, and then I'm going to decrement the value by 1 like this. So now it points to 2. This is so इसमें अब we were at the top pointer of the stack, so we want to delete this item. We first are going to save it, as I said before. So it's at the top currently. आपने इसको किसी variable में save कर लेना, and then you are going to decrement the top by 1. So again, the same logic. We don't have to explicitly delete the value. It will get overwritten eventually. बल्कि past paper में question भी आया था कि अगर आप stack की values को initialize कर दो with zeros, तो why do the future values not affected? तो उस पे यही आंसर है कि जो भी future values होंगी, they will end up overwriting the values, so it will have no effect whatsoever. And then you have to return the item that you deleted, and then that's it. So ये आपका पूरा स्टैक हो गया. स्टैक के अंदर क्या चीजें, एक टॉप पॉइंटर होता है और एक उसकी 1D अरे होती है और एक साइज होता है. साइज भी अगर आप लोगों ने बनाना है वेरिएबल तो इट्स फाइन. So then you have push and pop function. Push function पे we always check if the stack is full. If it is not, then we add the value at the top of stack. Pop के function में we always have to check if the stack is empty. If it is, then you will not pop the value. Otherwise, you will return the value that you popped और आप अपने top pointer को update कर दोगे accordingly.